Most families have walked right past a little medicine cabinet in the garden and never noticed it, not because it was hidden, because the old names were forgotten. Plants our grandparents knew from Scripture. The pantry, the barn, and the porch steps are often treated today like weeds, decorations, or plain groceries. Today we are looking at 12 biblical plants Christian families often kept in one form or another in the old home apothecary. This is not medical advice, and it is not a promise that a plant can cure illness or replace a doctor. Old household remedies were usually for comfort, cleanliness, food, fragrance, and simple care while the body rested. Serious symptoms, pregnancy, children, medication interactions, infections, bleeding, breathing trouble, and chronic disease all need help from a qualified clinician. If you enjoy old Christian homestead remedy wisdom, subscribe and follow along for more practical home apothecary videos. 1. Aloe. Aloe earns its place on the kitchen windowsill. It does not ask for much. A clay pot, a little sun, a little water, and there it sits beside the dish soap like a quiet green first aid lesson. In old homes, aloe was often kept for minor skin comfort. A grandmother might snap off a small piece, split it open, and use the cool gel on dry hands, a mild hot spot from the stove, or weathered skin after garden work. The safe old way was simple. Use the clear inner gel, not the yellow bitter latex near the rind. That part can be harsh and should not be swallowed casually. Deep burns, spreading redness, severe pain, or signs of infection need medical care. 2. Frankincense. Frankincense carries one of the best-known scents of the biblical world. It was precious enough to be brought as a gift to the Christ child. Families stored it as little golden tears of resin in boxes and jars. On the old homestead, frankincense was not a backyard plant. It was a traded treasure, something used slowly and with care in the home apothecary. Its safest old-fashioned use was often aromatic, a little resin burned for fragrance, a quiet room, a worshipful feel, air that smelled set apart. Modern research has studied compounds in frankincense, but that does not make it a cure-all. Essential oils are strong. They should not be swallowed without professional guidance. They can bother lungs, babies, pets, and sensitive people. Frankincense teaches restraint. A little fragrance can be enough. 3. Myrrh. Myrrh is darker and sharper than frankincense. In Scripture, it appears with worship, burial, perfume, and costly gifts. Its scent is bitter, warm, and earthy, like an old wooden chest opened after many years. Christian families remembered myrrh because it carried both beauty and sorrow. In old household use, myrrh was often tied to mouth care, skin preparations, and cleansing washes. You might see it in old remedy books as resin, powder, or tincture, but resins are concentrated. Modern lab research has looked at myrrh for antimicrobial activity, but that does not mean a person should treat infections at home with it. Tooth pain, gum swelling, fever, or open wounds need proper care. Myrrh may interact with medications and is not a casual herb for pregnancy. Handle strong things with respect. 4. Olive. If one plant feels like the backbone of biblical household life, it may be the olive. Olive trees gave food, oil, light, and a picture of peace. In an old Christian home, olive oil was not just for cooking. It sat on the pantry shelf like liquid gold. It was used for bread, lamps, salves, dry skin, and simple meals. A family might infuse dried herbs into olive oil for a rub, or stir it with beeswax to make a plain balm. It could carry the scent of rosemary, mint, or calendula. But oil can go rancid. Store it cool and dark, Herbal oils can spoil if fresh wet plants are packed into jars. Use clean jars, properly dried herbs, and your nose. If it smells off, throw it out. Olive oil is pantry wisdom at its simplest. 5. Hyssop. Hyssop is one of those biblical plants that makes people curious. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean, says the psalm. But this is where plant identification matters. The exact biblical hyssop is debated. Different plants have carried that name over the years. Some are culinary. Some oils sold as hyssop are far too strong for casual use. Old households valued hyssop-like herbs for fragrance, cleansing symbolism, and sometimes tea for seasonal comfort. A dried bundle in the pantry would smell sharp and green, like an herb bed after rain. Traditional herbalists used hyssop for cough season comfort, but wheezing, fever, breathing trouble, or symptoms in children need medical guidance. Do not guess from a picture online. Names matter. Guessing is not wisdom. 6. Fig. The fig tree is one of the great household trees of Scripture. It stands for shade, fruitfulness, and ordinary peace under his vine and under his fig tree. Sounds like a home with enough food, a place to sit, and a harvest to share. In the old home, figs were food first. Dried figs could sit in a crock or pantry jar through the colder months. Sweet, chewy, and ready for travelers, children, or tired hands coming in from chores. Figs were valued for gentle nourishment and regularity because they contained fiber. They were not just candy, they were useful food. The caution is simple. Dried figs are concentrated sugar and may not suit everyone, especially people watching blood sugar or dealing with digestive trouble. Fig tree sap can also irritate skin, especially in sunlight. Sometimes the old apothecary was just food in a jar. If this kind of old Christian homestead knowledge helps you, subscribe for more remedy cabinet and garden wisdom. 7. Pomegranate. Pomegranates look like they belong on a farmhouse table in autumn. Crack one open, and it is full of ruby seeds, bright and tart, staining the cutting board and the fingertips. In Scripture, pomegranates were pictures of beauty, fruitfulness, and abundance. They decorated priestly garments and temple imagery. So Christian families saw them as more than a fruit. They were a reminder that God fills creation with detail. In household use, pomegranates were mostly food. Seeds, juice, and even peel appear in old traditions, though the peel is very astringent and should be handled with care. Modern research has looked at antioxidants in pomegranate, but it is not a treatment for disease. Pomegranate juice may interact with some medications, much like grapefruit can for certain people. If you take prescriptions, ask a clinician or pharmacist. 8. Cedar. Cedar is not a tea herb for casual sipping. It is a tree of strength, scent, and storage. The cedars of Lebanon were famous in Scripture, known for majesty and building. In old homes, cedar showed up in chests, closets, fence posts, and little blocks tucked among wool blankets. The apothecary side of cedar was often about the home itself. Its scent helped freshen storage spaces and discourage moths. A cedar chest full of quilts, winter socks, and old family papers can feel like a whole household memory in one place. Some traditions use cedar in steam or aromatic preparations, but many cedar species can irritate or be unsafe internally. Do not assume all trees called cedar are the same. Keep essential oils away from children, and do not use them as casual internal remedies. 9. Mustard. Mustard is tiny in the hand, but Scripture made it unforgettable. Jesus used the mustard seed as a picture of small faith and surprising growth. Any gardener who has spilled a seed packet knows the feeling. One little seed disappears into the dirt, and soon there is a green plant pushing up. Old households kept mustard as food and as a warming ingredient. Mustard plasters were once used on the chest or muscles for warmth and comfort, but this old remedy needs a clear warning. Mustard can burn skin. If it is too strong, left on too long, or used on children, harm can happen. Many families may choose to leave mustard plasters in the history books. As food, mustard seed is much safer for most people. It belongs in pickles, meats, greens, and dressings. Small things can have strength. Strength needs care. 10. Mint. Mint is the plant that tries to take over the garden like it owns the deed. Put it in one corner bed, and next year it is visiting the beans, the fence line, and maybe the neighbor's yard. That is why old homesteaders often kept mint in a pot near the back door. Mint appears in Scripture as one of the garden herbs, carefully tithed by the Pharisees. In the old household, mint was kept for tea, kitchen flavor, and after-meal comfort. A handful of fresh leaves and hot water makes a simple cup that smells clean before you even taste it. Traditional families used mint for the feeling of a settled stomach after heavy meals. But peppermint can worsen reflux for some people. Strong mint oils are not safe for babies or casual internal use. A gentle tea is not the same as a concentrated oil. 11. Coriander. Coriander is one of those pantry seeds people forget came from a living plant. In Scripture, manna was compared in appearance to coriander seed. That tells us ancient families knew it well. On the homestead, coriander seed might sit in a small jar beside dill, mustard, and fennel, ready for pickles, stews, breads, and meat rubs. The leaves are cilantro, loved by some and disliked by others, but the dried seed is warm, citrusy, and gentle. Traditional households use coriander as a digestive spice, not as a dramatic medicine, just as a wise kitchen companion added to beans, broth, and heavy meals. People with allergies to related plants should be cautious. Concentrated herb use can also bring medication concerns. For most kitchens, coriander belongs right where grandmother kept it, in a labeled jar on the pantry shelf. 12. Garlic. Garlic is not glamorous, but it is faithful. In the book of Numbers, the Israelites remembered the foods of Egypt, including garlic. That tells us it was part of daily life, strong enough in memory to be missed in the wilderness. In the old Christian home, garlic hung in braids, dried in baskets, or sat in a crock near the stove. Families used it as food for cold seasons, heavy meals, and strength at the table. Modern research has looked at garlic and heart health markers, but garlic is not a substitute for medication. It is not a treatment for infections or chronic disease. It is a strong, useful food with a long history. Garlic can thin the blood slightly and may interact with blood-thinning medicines or surgery plans. It can also upset the stomach, especially raw. Roast it, add it to soup, stir it into greens. Subscribe before you go, and we will keep bringing back the old remedies families forgot. Looking back at these 12 plants, a pattern appears. Aloe by the window, olive oil in the pantry, mint by the porch, garlic near the stove, cedar in the chest, frankincense and myrrh stored like treasures. These were not magic tricks. They were pieces of household stewardship. A Christian home apothecary should be built on gratitude, careful learning, clean preparation, proper plant identification, and the humility to call for help when help is needed. God placed useful plants in creation. He also gave us wisdom, neighbors, doctors, and discernment. So keep the old knowledge close to the garden, close to the kitchen, close to prayer, and guided by love for the family in your care.